Welcome back to Project 613. Today we are going to learn one mitzvah, and this comes in continuation to what we've been speaking about, that the sacrifices in the Holy Temple had specific times, specific places where they needed to be brought, and there was, for those sacrifices that had a part that was eaten, there was an allotted specific amount of time given for different sacrifices, different amounts of time when they could be eaten. Yesterday we spoke about the power of thought, and that is that the Kohen, the priest who is offering the sacrifice, he has to have in mind at the time that he's offering the sacrifice that it will be consumed within the correct amount of time. And if he has the wrong thoughts in mind, those thoughts alone could disqualify the sacrifice. That was called pigul. Today we learn something similar, and that is called Nosar. And rather than the power of thought, today we'll talk about the power of time itself. Because here the Torah tells us that it's forbidden to leave any of the meat that needs to be consumed from the sacrificial offerings past their allotted time. They all have to be eaten within the allotted time. It's forbidden to have any left over after that amount of time. If any is left over, it needs to be burnt, because we're going to learn tomorrow there is a separate prohibition to eat from any of that leftover meat, but we'll talk about that tomorrow. Today we have the specific prohibition, as the Torah says, Lo tosiru mimenu ad boker, do not leave any of it for the morning. The specific sacrifice the Torah is talking about over here is the Todah offering, the Thanksgiving offering. We know there are certain times when a person would have to bring a Thanksgiving offering to the Holy Temple if he survived a life-threatening situation, or if he was imprisoned, or if he crossed the sea, and so on. So he would have to bring the Thanksgiving offering. Now this offering, the meat of this offering can only be eaten the day the offering was brought, and that evening and that night. But the Torah tells us, Lo tosiru mimenu ad boker, do not leave any of its meat for the following day. This is called Nosar, the leftover meat that we are forbidden from leaving over. Now, different reasons have been given for this mitzvah, but one of the more spiritual reasons is that here we see the power of time from a Jewish perspective. Every single day, every single hour, every single minute has its specific designated time and its spiritual energy that's available only in that time. And therefore, the sacrifice that's brought on one day, its spirituality needs to be consumed on that day specifically and is not connected with the following day. And that's why we are not to leave any of it for the following day. A similar concept to this we see every week. We have the difference between Shabbat and the weekday, or a festival and Shabbat. There's different rules and restrictions for different days, and this has to do with the spirituality, with the spiritual energy that is available on one day versus another. And this is really one of the underlying reasons for this concept of Nosar. More about this tomorrow.